When it comes to The Forest, we actually did do a collab stream here on the channel, checking it out for the first time. Although I think both Nivi and Cashew are pretty big fans of the series. From them, I haven't really heard anything good about the sequel, but the first one is pretty good so far. Unfortunately, like with many VTuber collabs, when the schedules don't align up, then I don't think we're ever going to get back to it. But from the little that we did play, we did see some pretty gnarly stuff and a lot of horror themes, especially when it came to the enemies that you had to face. So hopefully today, with Mandalore's review of The Forest, we'll be able to learn a bit more about all the stuff that we unfortunately couldn't get to. But of course, before we get into it, with all of our reaction content, I will highly suggest that you please go and support the original video. Link to that is at the very top of the description, like always. Is this from this theme song in the back? It's from the Ghostmaster review, I think? Or whatever the game is called. It's such a fun idea.
The Forest is one of the first early access games I ever bought, right outside of Natural Selection 2 and Minecraft. It was part of that early Minecraft, DayZ survival game craze, back when Steam Greenlight was a thing. It had every single cursed rune trait. However, this one had a lot that appealed.
I see. I do recall that being kind of the trend back then. I was never really into the survival games, although the kid version of me was very into Minecraft. And really, the only reason why I had bought this game and decided to try it out was because of the collab. Because, I mean, anything with friends is always more fun, right? But I'm presuming when Mandalore did this, was there no multiplayer yet? I don't know if that was a feature that they added in later.
It was single player only, so no nightmare netcoding. It was focused on survival and had an actual story. And to top it all off, the threat wasn't going to be zombies. It wasn't clear what exactly the danger was. Because while I liked Minecraft survival, you didn't have the constant danger experience outside of multiplayer. Sure, someone can stalk you around and plot a breaking and entering, but it's not the same. In single player, a simple wall or door kept you safe at night. So the Forest is what I was looking for. I bought
yeah, that is true. With the different sounds that you could hear in the forest at night, like even during the early parts of the game, it was quite unsettling. Even more so once you went into the caverns. I think the progression of tension, if that's how you could describe it, was pretty good. Obviously, you could avoid all those areas, but I don't really know if there could be random events that occur. Whether the enemies may come to get you, like after a certain amount of days. That would be really cool though, if those systems existed within the game.
For $15, and now all these years later, it's out of early access and done. The story is finished, and they even added multiplayer. So let's see how it went. What? The game has a simple but intriguing premise. You're a dad, and on a flight with your son Timmy and his unfortunate haircut. You learn why Spirit Airlines gets the rates it does as the plane crashes into the earth unexpectedly. You survive the crash, but your son is taken by a mysterious red figure. From here, it's up to you to survive the mysterious forest you've crashed into and find your son. But it soon becomes clear you're a trespasser. There are strange creatures watching you, and some definitely don't appear to be human. And that's it. How are you so good at survival? How come you're not immediately being rescued? Why did the plane crash at all, and what is living in the woods? Well, a lot does get answered, but I'll save that for the end. Let's
Interesting. I always thought the premise was kind of silly. Like, oh, your plane crashed and your son was taken. Time to build civilization. Like, are we some Navy SEAL? Why do we know so much about survival? And we even have, like, the handy-dandy survival kits and whatnot. Or are we just that good? And why even take the son in the first place? Because I don't think he was taken to be food. How did all these horrific creatures come to be? I wonder if there's anything similar happening in the forest to like the, well, I don't know if you guys know about these really cheesy horror movies called like Wrong Turn, I believe. But the series also deals with cannibals living in the woods. And there's a lot of freaky stuff that happens to them. It's really weird, it's really gross. I wouldn't recommend it unless if you're into those kind of horror movies. I certainly am not, but I'm kind of open-minded when it comes to things, so I at least wanted to know what it was about. But maybe something like that is happening here? Or maybe some sort of black magic is occurring. I don't know about like how supernatural the series gets.
Focus on graphics for now. For a small indie developer aiming as high as realism, it's damn good. It's also impressive how many art assets are from the early access 2014 version. Textures were upgraded, the engine was updated, but The Forest has always been a very pretty game. The lighting effects are nice and improved a lot over time, but I think something changed for the worse with the shader for sunlight. It seems more washed out and overblown than I remember. It looks fine when you're actually under the trees, which is where you'll spend most of your time anyway, but outside of that I find it weirdly hazy. It's not terrible or anything, but there might be some original forest players who also remember a gloomier time. It's not a big deal, you can easily tweak down settings like bloom. Isn't it nice when there's just easy options for all this stuff? I'm not bitter at all. You can play with color grading.
I do appreciate it when there are the options to do so. When you don't have them, you do sorely miss them. And actually, I'd always been intrigued to know exactly what those settings would do. And there are plenty of videos here on YouTube, if you guys search it up, to look at like what the game settings will actually do to your video game and how it actually impacts performance. So if you guys are ever curious, I'd highly recommend checking some of those videos out.
If you want the game to be set in Hollywood, Mexico, or Hollywood, everywhere else in a scary movie, really, there's a lot to tweak. The giant...
I love it, Hollywood, Mexico. Yeah, they always put on the yellow dirty filter. It's just... why? That actually reminds me of this commercial that Apple did, being like traveling abroad to Thailand. And they had put on the exact same yellow filter too. And they specifically went to like the oldest airport that we have in Bangkok, had the main cast stay at some rundown motel, had them use the worst possible means of transportation, and then also made a joke about how Thai women are easily attracted to foreigners even though they look not great. Suffice to say, a lot of Thai people were not happy about that, and Apple stores were very empty for several months after that commercial came out. The way that media portrays the outside world, like outside of the States, is just not true. It's not real. You gotta go there yourself to experience the culture and see the sights. And it really is just so frustrating, but I guess that's mass media for you.
Cave systems are also filled with detail and absolutely horrifying. The Forest is one of those games that does darkness correctly. Darkness is dark. Night isn't just some blue filter, it is black. They did a great job creating a realistic woodland environment. The map itself is handcrafted, so you never see anything too wonky. And
I do agree that having the darkness actually be dark is a good choice, especially considering it's a forest and you're hearing noises all around you, but you can't see anything. A classic when it comes to how to induce horror within your player is to have them imagine it. Oh, movies as well. Showing the creature doesn't really do as much as having them imagine the most horrific creature they possibly can.
A lot of your items are based on real-world counterparts and brands, like the BIC or CIL lighter. Having all that stuff grounded in normalcy is great for immersion, but it also helps make the unusual that much more uncomfortable.
The juxtaposition, yeah. Yeah, what is that?
What the Forest really excels at is the sound design.
And the models themselves, when they're in the light, they're not too scary. They are weird. But when you're in the caverns and it's that dim lighting with all the red blood all about, and you can barely make out the shapes of it charging at you, yeah, that truly enhances the experience, especially when you get to meet them for the first time. The caverns themselves also remind me of this horror movie called The Descent, and the same feeling that you get watching that movie is very much portrayed here in-game with The Forest. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen The Descent, I do highly recommend it. That one's actually a pretty good horror movie. Oh, and if you do look it up, just know that there are 2 different endings. I think they kind of cut the ending short for the US release, and then elsewhere in the world got the full ending. Which, well, I won't spoil it for you, but it is a different ending.
This is some top-tier ambience.
Yeah, it's really immersive. Even playing with friends, which usually are, and on stream too. It's usually not conducive to the immersiveness of video games, but this one can get you. It's really all in the sound design. Sound design is so important for horror games. If you've spent some time in a North American forest, you'll recognize a lot of sounds. The specific bird calls and the way the wind moves through the trees. It is remarkably accurate, and it's clear that a lot of attention was given to making sure that everything sounded right. But you never forget that they're out there too. Yeah. This is what I was talking about with the random noises that are clearly unnatural. And definitely something that will attack you. It's from the darkness of the forest. It's so damn good, and sometimes they come at you at unexpected moments. Like, it's not present all the time. If it was, then it would be expected, and it would kind of wear off.
There's no music sting when they're nearby, no little icon on your HUD, there's nothing. Your only warning at night might be some bushes moving and some twigs snapping. So less is more, less being sound and more being paranoid.
Yeah.
There is some music.
Oh, that's nice. Oh yeah. Civilization.
There are collectible cassette tapes, and naturally they all play 80s montage music. I don't think there'd be anything more appropriate.
Yo, why is 80s music so good though? I love this type of music so much. Now, I talked about it as well during the Brigador review, and you guys told me that that specific genre of music would probably be referred to as synthwave. I think I'm a big fan of that. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like fighting back.
I can imagine this almost like being a montage. A training montage.
It's kind of shocking for a game like this, but it's a kick-ass soundtrack. There's also a great non-diegetic soundtrack, but it mainly plays its story moments, so I can't do those here. There's some great guitar and synth work. There was even some music that reminded me of the animals of all things. You appreciate the music a lot when it comes in, since the game is usually devoid of it, but it's a perfectly appropriate grindhouse score. So it has some strong presentation, especially for such a tiny team. So good going so far. Now let's talk about the gameplay. You've got 4 difficulties to choose between. These can make your enemies or your survival meter harder, but you can also turn the enemies off. There is a creative mode, but you need to beat the story to unlock it. It's a little strange.
I wonder, if you're playing on peaceful, then how do you go through the story? Like, if there's no threat, then, no, maybe Mandalore will talk about it.
Plane will crash in one of a few preordained locations. Like I said before, there's only one map, so no procedural generation jank here. So you start gathering stuff up to survive, which at first means rifling through suitcases for snack bars and drinks, but things get more complicated. You could eat berries, but some are poison, so you need to learn to eat the right berries. You could drink standing water, but that's basically poison too, it's untreated. So you'll need to make a rain collector or boil it properly, you get what I mean. There are several ways to get meat. You could go the old-fashioned route and just hunt it down, but meat has the problem of spoiling, and meat will go bad here in only a few in-game hours. So you could go for the trapping approach and then save your food for later, or hang your meat out to dry in the wind, though this will take a lot longer. You can also forego meat entirely, so you have a lot of options to keep the meters filled. Even on hard survival, the survival part is pretty easy. You may begin to wonder why birds constantly land around you just completely still, or why deer will just give up on life and accept death right in front of you, that are self-immolating themselves in the campfire for political reasons. The animal AI has constant breakdowns. Small prey animals like rabbits and squirrels react realistically and get the hell out when they see you coming, but so many animals will just come right to you that it gets really silly. As you'd expect, going vegan will add some challenge into your life. Otherwise, it's painfully easy to get tendies with very little effort. Then again, soda is one of the best rehydrators in the game, restores your energy, and booze cures cold. If you're ever at risk of hypothermia and have booze, don't do that. So if you turn on peaceful mode wanting to roleplay Hatchet or My Side of the Mountain, you might find that lacking. But to be fair, having to eat airplane meals is just one struggle of the game. You still need to be collecting resources and building up, because you need to build real estate and club turtles. If you can't make food and drink at home yet, that means going out and possibly dealing with the neighbors. It's a lot more likely they'll find you than you find them. You might make enough noise to attract them or wander onto their hunting grounds. You can hide from them for a few days, but eventually, they find you.
Yeah.
It was a tribe of dirty cannibals the whole time. The first ones you encounter will likely be emaciated and deranged. Something foul you might only see on National Geographic or a local con. 1 or 2 can be taken out easy. Combat is wild and pretty fucking brutal. Your character's not a trained fighter, so he just swings wildly. You might have also noticed the cannibals aren't just beelining to kill me. In fact,
okay, so we're not a trained fighter, so the Navy SEAL idea kind of goes out the window, then what are we?
After I finish off the first one, the other one runs off into the woods. I never see her again that day. But then comes the night.
And then they come back with a vengeance. Bro, they're stalking around you.
Not only did she come back, she brought more with her. They start surrounding the campsite, calling out to each other. This is the true horror of your enemy. These aren't mindless zombies. This is a sentient enemy, and it acts like it. If you encounter one alone, they might just run away. The dirty feral ones are
That's
more likely
really
to be
cool.
hostile right from the get-go, but they'll still be more curious than out to eat you. They might just watch what you're doing and then try to creepily get into your blind spot. Their AI has tendencies, but it's not completely reliable like a lot of other games. Hiding the body of a feral away from where you were might be a good idea. They're not above eating their own dead, but does it help? I don't know. All I know is having corpses around distracts my work. They're unsettling, but only the start of your problems. Besides just trying to murder you, they'll rob your food too. In an all-out attack, they even might try to break some buildings. However, these are just the banished outcasts. Encountering a proper tribe is when shit really hits the fan. Because they're smart.
When they have weapons.
See, if you do kill some ferals, it's not a huge deal. If anything, having a big enough war crime in your yard keeps them from stopping by. With a tribal, killing
Well, you're basically giving them warning signs that maybe it's not such a great idea to go over there. But yeah, once they start getting like armor and weapons, it becomes a lot more difficult to have to deal with them. They are pretty coordinated in their attacks, even though, you know, there's a little bit of jank AI here and there, but it's to be expected.
It means they'll send someone looking. Let them run off and they'll definitely be visiting, but they might not be too hostile. If you haven't been trying to kill them non-stop, you'll have a strange, uneasy relationship. You're both wary of each other. They might just hang out at night, watching you from the bushes and the trees. You go to confront a patrol of them and they just run away into the hills. They can start making strange effigies in and around your campsite. You never know what to expect. Are they attacking or just measuring? Jesus Christ.
You good, bro?
Where'd the other one go? Did I mention this game has VR support? You can enjoy that if you want to.
I'd rather not, thank you, Mandalore. So then, is it possible to form some sort of alliance, or I guess truce with the cannibals? Are they not going to come hunting after you? You could just kind of chill, and they'll be chill? That sounds pretty nice.
The unpredictability is great for the horror aspect. The act of trying to understand all the cannibals helps you succeed. What locations are important to them? Does building around or going near them piss them off? What actions can I take that'll make them afraid of me? How about chopping up a tribal body, and then waving the body parts at another one? Well, that got him far away instantly, but is he gonna tell his friends about it? They are a community. I mean, sure, making a giant effigy of all these parts and lighting it on fire scares them off tonight, but they'll be back with greater numbers. You need to try and figure out the tribes, how they behave, and where they reside. Ideally, you generate enough fear to keep them away from you and let you work in peace. If you go overboard, like really overboard, well, the natives become restless. Their attacks increase in size and sophistication, and they'll start unleashing more of their horrors from the caves below.
Oh, God.
What starts as survival can escalate into full-out jungle warfare. The traps get deadlier and the stakes get higher, and it stays fun and scary and intriguing because the enemy feels worthy of it. Their animations are fast and fluid, and they do feel intelligent, but not predictable. I won't spoil all the things you can see them do, but there's a lot. Now, I did wonder...
That's really, really cool. Yeah, we didn't get far enough into the game to see any of that, or like full-on jungle warfare like this, but the fact that it's possible means that like replaying through the game again can be a completely different experience.
I'm sure others do too. Is it possible to make peace with them? Well, if I was in an underdeveloped culture and saw a man fall out of the sky and start blowing people up with bombs, I think I'd have no choice but to worship him as a god too.
What? Okay, you know what? That's pretty cool. You gotta show them that you have the power, though. Show them who's the top dog in the forest. Makes sense.
They know if the singing stops, the pulses do too. Ultimately, you're in their woods, so peace is never a true option. Oh well.
Okay. You can earn their respect, but you still gotta stay on top of the game.
Hey, they started it. So the cannibal stuff is neat, and we do need more games where you could take an arm and slap people with it. But there are some systems surrounding all that. As I mentioned before, there's the combat. It's simple, but satisfying. You can move and hit for light attacks, but for power attacks you have to remain still. With you being so slow compared to the natives, a power attack is risky, but worth it if you manage to pull it off. Add Tony Hawk airtime into the mix and they explode into chunks. It's tough to do, but never gets old. The big cheese tactic is unlocking them with a fast weapon, but there's rarely just one. The nastier, basement-dwelling enemies are immune to this anyway, but melee is only one option. There are all kinds of deadly man-made weapons to find around the peninsula, but it's also backed up by some robust crafting mechanics. There's a lot to experiment with. You can make a weapon completely from scratch or upgrade some existing ones. Why stop at a...
The crafting system was kind of interesting because you could basically put on anything there. And I think whatever you had already crafted before will be put down there, but From what I recall, you basically just had to experiment with some stuff in order to figure it out. I wonder how many different combinations of things you can craft are currently in the current version of the game. It did take a little bit of getting used to, but I can see this being immensely complex and also very satisfying when you figure things out.
A machete when you can cover it in teeth. Modifications like that are permanent, but there are also temporary upgrades. Arrows and weapons can be lit on fire. The poison berries from earlier aren't useless, you can coat them on your weapons. There are lots of useful new things to discover, but also clowny shit too. A big rock is good for finishing off an enemy, but you can also make an upgraded rock. Then you can set it on fire, just to hurt yourself. What?
Oh jeez! It burns! It burns!
What?
What's the point of that?
No!
That's a good way to make more satisfying discoveries. If you want to fight less, there's also a stealth system. It's your standard crab walk sneak. You can increase it by covering yourself in mud or making special stealth armor, and getting it high enough means you might be able to bail out of some dangerous situations. Once again, simple, but adds some depth. Speaking of that, you do have some background stats. This can affect your melee damage, your movement speed, and overall stamina. So eating big to get big, then exercising is viable. These are all great additions.
Cool.
A lot of games just have hunger, thirst, and a building system and then they're done. But there's even more. Understandably, the horrors of the forest are a lot to take in, so you have to deal with sanity. The more depraved actions you take, like murder, or participating in cannibalism yourself, the lower it goes. You restore by listening to tapes, relaxing, and generally being a good human being again.
Yeah. Just trying to remember what it was like back in society, right? I can imagine being stuck in a situation like this, that ultimately, as time goes by, you're gonna start becoming just like them. The enemies that you feared. Which, understandable in a way, you kinda had to survive, and if that's the way to do it, then that's how it goes. And that's also why the scariest thing to face off against during an apocalyptic situation is other humans.
The bushes in the game already look like human silhouettes. Then your sanity gets lower. You start seeing movement where there is none, hear audio hallucinations, the forest starts playing tricks on— What? Oh, sorry about that. It does nothing! Thanks for coming out, everybody. Wait,
Okay.
it unlocks effigies, but they didn't want it to be low. Oh, you can be infected, but there was no way of telling because it's just a background stat thing, and
I was gonna say, that was super cool, and that's like an amnesia sort of system, but yeah, we already have a lot of systems, underlying systems in this game. We don't need that just yet.
I'd have to look in the book. Wait a minute. Here I couldn't wash off the blood that causes infection. I had to reload a save to fix it. I can't pick up this clue in a cave, and it's not just me. Enemies sometimes pop through gates or hit things behind walls. The more footage I look at, the more bugs I see. It's almost like playing an early access game. But they're done. They're working on a sequel. I've gotten stuck in the environment a few times. The log sled sent me flying into the stratosphere. When you have features that go nowhere combined with a ton of bugs, it looks to me that the game is blatantly unfinished. Every game can have some bugs, so I usually don't mention them if they're minor. But this time around, the forest has won me over by the sheer volume of them. Even when tiny, something goes wrong incredibly often. While they were clearly done with the content and just left it as is, there is a severe lack of polish. I'm genuinely surprised that this is the amount of bugs they were okay with. This kind of jank also extends into how features are organized. Let's look at the building system. You've got a book that has tabs. Simple enough. Let's say that you want to build a wall. This page has a custom wall, you go a few more, basic wall, then you keep going a bunch more, defensive wall. Strange, but okay. How about building a door? It's right there, right?
Yeah. I don't know if they cleaned this up in the current version or if they've been updating it ever since, but I did find this part of it to be kind of confusing. I had to take quite a long time during the stream just sifting through all the pages and all the different things you could build in order to really see what the best option was and like how different it was from all the other things that I could build. You could say in a way it leads to experimentation, but I don't know if this is the system that you want to be confusing.
Yeah, but did you know you can make a door with a lock? You don't press something putting a door down, you put down a custom wall and then cycle through it until you get a door with a lock. That's not well
What? No, I don't think any of us figured this out when we were playing.
explained. Okay, how about this one? You know a rabbit trap? If you place it in water, it just turns into a fish trap. Would you ever figure that out?
That we would not have figured out unless the chat told us. Which is another good point, because my experience with the games is definitely going to be different from yours, considering that for the most part when I try out a new game, it's usually with chat as well, and we're streaming it, and people who are more experienced with the game could come in and maybe give us helpful tips or help us when we get stuck and stuff like that. So we end up skipping over these little details that could really hinder somebody's enjoyment of the game.
Without it being an accident? You can craft a repair tool. You just bang it on your stuff and it fixes it up for free. Except one time I thought it bugged out and stopped working. It turns out sometimes needs logs to repair certain buildings. Which specific buildings and why? I have no clue. It's as if construction had an entire final pass it needed that just never happened. So much is disorganized and needlessly cryptic. You could say research the wiki, but this isn't Minecraft or some multiplayer-focused survival game. The forest has a story. There's mystery at the center of it. A wiki is the absolute last place you should be sending me. Speaking of story, there is an issue with how it progresses. The game encourages you to explore down to the bottom of a massive sinkhole. The intended way is cave exploring through the massive network of them. Getting to the bottom requires 2 items.
We did find the sinkhole actually, but yeah, we never did get to the bottom of it. We just entered a few caverns and, hell, we ended up calling it there. I wonder what's at the bottom.
First the climbing axe, because The Descent is a cool movie.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Then a rebreather, for all your terrifying underwater cave exploring needs.
Here's
the thing. There are only one of each of these items, each in their own cave. When you get to the bottom, you need a 3rd item. It's not used for movement like these 2 items. In fact, it's not even connected to them. So you can go through hell, get to the very bottom, and realize you needed a 3rd item and then have to go all the way back up or load a save. I was a completionist and explored every single cave before going all the way down. Not everybody is going to do that. The experience of the trek through the earth can be completely destroyed by someone getting there and realizing they're gated off. They either go all the way back up, or go on the wiki and figure out how to spawn the item they need. I kinda wish I had looked at the wiki. I tried to make a fire on a cliff and it vanished, but I still needed the materials. I thought I was misinterpreting something like how Smash players practice the wrong kind of grooming. Then I saw the fire-
Oh my goodness, Mandalore. Damn. But I mean... Oh, no, I can't even deny that. It's really unfortunate what happened, and I don't know why people are like this.
Fire had spawned somewhere up on a rock way above me. There's no cancel blueprint from afar button, and I didn't know about console commands. So I had to live with the notification in the corner or go down and try to kill it over and over again. And I got it eventually. But man, what a trial over a minor thing. I need to stop thinking of Smash Brothers. I do commend them for having a story in the game. A lot of others in the genre just don't bother. Yeah.
That is true. The fact that it has a story gives you motivation, it gives you purpose to the things that you're doing, which is something I feel like I lack whenever I play these type of video games. Other people may find the survival, managing your items, crafting new things, building a better house, making defenses and stuff like that. That stuff can be satisfying to a lot of people. I need a reason as to why I'm doing that.
But a few more spawns of the key story item could have helped. The overall lack of polish is my biggest issue with the forest. Because sure, it would have been nice to have more scary mutant variety and no, I don't count recolors, but progressing through the story and finding special items are deeply tied into spelunking. Yet my torch puts out less light than my CIL lighter. There's not much more to say on the issue. It sucks because I do like the game a lot. At the same time, whenever I recommend it to a friend, I always have to say, yeah, it's basically an early access game still. They're working on a sequel, it'll likely stay like this forever. I mean, there's an entire mountain biome, but barely a reason to go there. This could have been one of my favorite single-player survival games. I do like it a lot, but all the issues really bring it down. It's immense.
Yeah, I mean, this review was done like 4 years ago. Maybe things have changed since then. For those of you who know, please do let me know. I don't have like these many grievances for the game, but obviously I haven't experienced it as much as Mandalore probably has here.
It's frustrating, but at least you have cannibals to take that out on. I usually go for the katana. I just want to say, so how about the multiplayer?
I had to spray you with cringe be gone.
The forest servers are a coin flip, so you mainly want to play with friends. Instead of playing one dad, you are now the dad collective. So now it's up to you and your alternative family to try and find
all
Timmy.
dad.
Oh, no, Dimitri's bald and Chinese as well.
We're clones? It's almost like playing another game. In multiplayer, you can build a super fortress that would take a long time to do alone. Of course, the rapid expansion does come at a cost. Your mass deforestation and general meddling gets the natives really angry, so things quickly turn into a war right from the get-go.
If I was a native, I'd be mad too. Look at that. The entire area just has no trees anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lorax randomly shows up.
You can still raid caches and do everything else you could in single player, right down to completing the story. If you have played it before, you're only in the caves for the items. The more players you have, the more challenging it is to feed everybody, so the door to cannibalism also opens up a lot faster. In turn, this makes the locals even angrier. You might try to eat normally, but eventually someone takes the plunge into people jerky. It is a dark, dark path, and there's really no coming back from it. However, survivability...
I don't think we ever dipped into that just yet, but maybe we didn't get far enough. I felt like we were okay, like doing okay when it came to rations and stuff. Just having like one person dedicate themselves to going, getting food, and storing it all up. It didn't feel too difficult.
Ability isn't just up from resources. What would kill you in single player, you can now recover from. There is less tension like any co-op game, but it's not completely gone. I might have made it sound like it just devolves into being another zombie survival game, but it's really not. The AI and unpredictability doesn't go away.
Nothing. Oh, hey, look, he's back.
Is he?
Hi.
Did he bring friends?
Hi. You checking out the wall? It's our handiwork.
Oh, Avery, he's watching you chop down that tree.
Yeah. Uh-oh, that's not good.
Avery, he's coming!
Wasn't he? No!
Oh my god.
In
That's
one
a
game, we
lot
were
of them.
completely driven from our home. The cannibals became so violent we just had to build a boat and leave. Hey Dimitri, you want to be careful? It's an absolute ton of fun and a no-hassle setup. The only issues it has are the exact same things as single player, except now there are brand new, multiplayer exclusive bugs. I mean, it wasn't like I was expecting things to be more stable, but I can safely say I didn't count on every tree vanishing. At least restarting the server fixed that, so nothing too crazy to say about it. The multiplayer does give a reason for no planes to land, so I guess that's nice. So that leaves the story, which is almost entirely told through in-game clues. Besides wondering where Timmy is, the main compulsion is what's going on here. The deeper you go, the more previous explorers you find. Who are the cannibals and mutants? Are they descended from Christian settlers gone Quaker crazy? Did they come from ancient Chinese explorers? Did their ancestors make the big metal doors? Without spoilers, the story reminds me a lot of Prometheus, and not just because of big blue people. Questions are answered, but a lot of the answers just open even more questions. So if you don't want to hear about that and some endgame stuff, then skip to here.
I know, we're here for this. I want to know. I don't think I'll be able to get to it.
Alright, here we go. The third item you needed was a key card. This opens the secret lab for Sahara Pharmaceuticals. They have objects littered around the peninsula if you're paying attention. Well, they completely own the peninsula with a giant secret underground lab. An ancient civilization or aliens or something once dwelled here. Sahara has come to excavate and study it. In particular, a device that can bring the dead back to life.
Oh no, please bro, not this again. Why does it vaguely look like a marker from Dead Space, actually?
This is the Resurrection Obelisk, the cause of all your problems. Bringing the dead to life isn't free. A Sahara employee named Dr. Cross was abusing his family. He likely killed his wife and his daughter died in a lab accident, so he was going to use the power of the device to bring her back. The catch is one life must be sacrificed to bring back another. Sahara was already experimenting on terminally ill children. It's also likely they had been kidnapping a ton of others. This was Timmy's purpose, the sacrifice to bring his daughter Megan Cross back. So it's not a cannibal in the intro, it's the good doctor. So Megan is alive again, but her father is dead. It turns out the cost of being resurrected is also being horribly mutated. So the little girl's spider—
Who could have foreseen this coming? Messing with life and death? Yeah, that's something that won't lead to any disaster. Like, bro, I'm a mad scientist. Even I know not to mess with that stuff.
form thing is your final boss. It's okay. You try to throw her corpse in to bring Timmy back, but the machine only takes live bait. So you go to the second device, which EMPs things. So that does explain the plane crash. Maybe a little too blatantly. From here you can either shut the device down, or bring down a second plane to bring a child to sacrifice for Timmy, continuing the cycle and bookending the beginning. Shutting off the device lets you keep playing the game. A form of the final boss will eventually start spawning in the woods, so that's a new challenge. There's also a brand new enemy, which is kind of like a Gmod prop coming to kill you. Having a weird shape-changing enemy like this is creative, but it does feel out of place in the forest. Going from grotesque—
That does look pretty cool. It almost reminds me of the Nurglings from Warhammer 3, and the way that they kind of like grab onto each other and swing around and use each other's bodies as weapons. Obviously not as clean as it looks like in Warhammer 3, but I get the idea. And also that ending is really messed up, bro. Then I wonder how the sequel picks up. Is it because you're bringing down another plane to sacrifice somebody else to resurrect Timmy? And then do you like go back with Timmy? I'm pretty sure Timmy would end up becoming one of the horrific things, just like the girl that we saw here.
Multi-limbed mutants to a big flying sausage link is strange.
What?
It is a different challenge to tackle, so I do give it that. You can hunt down the artifact that gives you horde or peaceful mode and have a lot of post-game fun. So if you did want to do the story in multiplayer, you can keep playing. The other proper ending locks all that out. You sacrifice another kid and you and Timmy go on a talk show. You had quite a story and you were already playing as Canadian Survivor Man. Timmy grows up and has to constantly fight off his mutations.
Wait, he grows up? What? How do you fight off mutations? Are you just like, yeah, no, not today, bro? Or do you just like clench your butt cheeks? Does that keep it down? I don't know.
They tease a sequel, and that's it. Any questions? I have one. What the hell were the cannibals? If you paint yourself red, they're all terrified of you. They make a point of showing the Sahara security doors as bright red. So are they experimented on causing the fear, or was that always there? What is their relation to the resurrection mutants? Sahara was...
Were they like survivors of the crash too? And then they kind of tried to survive, but they never found the facility? But then if you play yourself red and then you see the giant red doors, and they probably have to know an inkling of it, right? Or were they captured by these this pharmaceutical company, experimented on, and I guess somehow escaped or were released for some reason?
Clearly studying tons of them. At the same time, it looks like the mutants can reproduce on their own. There are drawings of them from before Sahara was on the scene. At the same time, it looks like Sahara is using degenerate science to make the machine work at all. The mystery precursors didn't make all this too. So are they just recreating mutants that already existed before? I can only assume Dr. Cross caused some kind of mass breakout to make this chaos happen, but where's the rest of the company then? What about the corpses that look like they were wiped out instantly? Is there some kind of third device? I gotta go back to this, but cannibals and mutants clearly live and work together. If the machine makes mutants, do they just make the cannibals too? Like they're less mutated, then broke out and developed different cultures really fast?
Maybe?
Red pacifies every tribe and they all use mutants, so there has to be something linking them. Is it all for longevity medicine? I mean, what's happening? It raises so many questions to the point of being frustrating and pretty needlessly. I would have been completely fine with something less convoluted. I thought it might have been as simple as they're a strange humanity offshoot. Once again, calling back to the Descent. Maybe they're like cicadas and just come above ground to fight and breed after long stretches. Hell, these giant trees appear to be sacred to them. Silhouetted, their most common mutants either look like trees with branches or roots. They can have an alien life cycle where they become trees and you're actually fighting the forest. I don't know anymore. I need a timeline.
There's a lot of ways that this could go, and we're certainly not strangers when it comes to convoluted lore. That being said, being simple isn't a detriment. Simple can still very much have a satisfying conclusion, but maybe we wrote it this way in order to open up many avenues for a potential sequel that perhaps at the time we didn't really know what we were going to do with it, or it was just a basic idea and we didn't know how popular the forest was going to be.
Of course, you're safe just completely ignoring the story. It's a nice bonus to have. The Forest is a game I'd call on the verge of greatness, but not quite there. If some features in the interface are polished up and a bunch of bugs were smashed, I think it could be. Sadly, development is full swing on the sequel, so I don't think that's happening. Still, it's only $20 at full price, and I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it. If you like these kinds of games and can deal with the jank, it's well worth it.
$60 game.
For now, I can only hope the sequel will keep more bugs in the woods instead of the game. I'll see you next time when I cover another early access title that got released. That's assuming it doesn't destroy my life. Again.
Now I'm very curious to know what happens in the sequel.
Sorry for those who are waiting for that since the Unreal World video, it was still being updated then. Do you feel overwhelmed by the list of games? Not by the list itself, but mail definitely now. I'm actually a few months behind and need to keep up. I get a lot more than I used to. Do you take...
Oh my goodness. I, for one, am very overwhelmed by the backlist of games that we're going to be getting to here on the channel. As I've probably stated multiple times here, I've got enough content currently ready to go for the next 3 years, and that doesn't even include all the games that are going to be released within those 3 years. There's just so much cool stuff out there for us to explore. A lot of lore to learn about, but yeah, all I need is time, and we don't have an infinite amount of that.
Time off from this. The last time I really did was last year involuntarily due to injury, but I can't remember the last time I did really. Whenever I relax too long, I feel like I should be working.
I'm right there with you, bro. Sometimes you just have to say, I am not going to do anything in regards to YouTube for this next week, and just commit to it. Burnout is real, but also there's always going to be that part of your mind that keeps on saying, why am I resting? Why am I not working? I could be doing something beneficial. Gotta get on that hustle grind set, you know, but the burnout is something that you're always going to have to be afraid of. Yeah, you gotta make sure that you pace yourself, or else it might lead to the end of your career, at least as a content creator. And it especially doesn't help that YouTube constantly is pushing you to grind more. Everything incentivizes you to do that, so you gotta resist those urges too.
YouTuber would you take with you to survive in the cannibal wilderness? I'm gonna stick to games. Primitive technology would be too easy. Oh, this one's kind of hard. I feel like Ross Scott from Accursed Farms would know something to fuck up the cannibals with. I'll take him. He seems like a survivor. Milk, water, orange juice, or a combination in your cereal. Jesus Christ. What's more important, gameplay or story? Gameplay easily. Most of the stories in games I really liked are tied into the gameplay. If you only have story and nothing around that, you could just watch it on YouTube and get the best part of it. I think it just defeats the point of making a video game in the first place, just make like an animated film or something. Okay, I'll see you next time.
You know, that's a good point. I do prefer story, and I can kind of tolerate mid-gameplay if the story is just that good. But it's fair to say that if the story is the only highlight, then why even be a game at all?
He's destroying the people, Jerky!
Stay off there!
What the? Man, the forest can create some pretty crazy multiplayer situations. It's so fun, man. If you haven't before, definitely check out the game, play it with some friends. And would you look at that? Mystery of the Druids. What a crazy ass game. But anyways, dudes, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed your time, and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Catch you guys in the next one. Later, dudes.